Hello, it's been a while, primarily because I still haven't figured out how to go through and use video editing software. I have, however, graduated college, but definitely not in a communications background. So we have had a little bit of progress made lately. The timing chain has been removed. Tip, something I learned. Before you undo the pressure, these are the spring-loaded, we're going to use the technical term dumaflachi, that puts pressure on the timing chain rail, and by that I mean one of these four items. They're all four different, but this is just one of them. You get the idea. Put these locks in. There are some tools that you can buy on Amazon. I know somebody's head it just exploded when I said that, but there are some tools you can buy on Amazon, and these sets will include these. They also include the valve train lock tool, which this sets down like this over the, you know what, let me put it back in here real quick. Pause. Okay. If you look right there on the right hand side, you will see two dots approximately centered. On the left hand side you will see one dot. Those are your timing alignment marks. Now I have not bolted this back in. You will notice that the retainers are all there on the intake side, but not over here on the exhaust side, because I was just undoing that and realized, I think I was making videos about this. So this tool fits down over a shape right there at the end of the exhaust cam, and that locks it in place. That locks that one, and then via the gear set here, that holds it in place. Yes, for those wondering, I did shear off a bolt. That's going to be fun. And it turns out I probably didn't have to remove it to begin with, so hooray me. Yes, continuing on. So at this point, I'm going to remove the cam lock tool, which is that arch right there, which is held in place by this tool and screwed down into position. When that's screwed down, at that point, you don't have to worry about it. One error I found, and I hope you watch ahead before you do any disassembly of your own, you'll notice there's something missing in the back here. The flywheel. The flywheel has an alignment mark and a lock pin that goes into it. Do not remove the flywheel before you mount the engine onto your stand. Figure out how to make it work. I just thought, oh, hey, I'll be fine. No, actually, that's to prevent you from accidentally slapping your pistons into your valves. Luckily, I had everything in place, lined up everything back here okay. Yes, I eyeballed it. Again, somebody else's head just exploded. So in here, where this little plastic plug is, pull that, and there is a pin that goes inside of there. I think I accidentally just set that toolkit off to the side. Let me pause and I will show you. So right down in here, this is what your alignment tool looks like. I have another one in the kit. It's black anodized steel, a little bit shorter. This one seems to fit fine, and if you look, it slides right up into that gap that's in the flywheel that's not there. Fun. So yes, that is what you use to lock your crankshaft into position so that it doesn't turn either. So with that, we're going to do the whole air ratchet, much like air guitar or air drums. Now, we are going to slowly withdraw this. We're going to set this off to the side. If you look right there, down here in that light, you see how that's squared off, right? You know, I need another hand. All right. See how it's squared off and rounded. When it's vertical like that, and with your timing marks in place, which are there. Where are they? Just on. They're there. Center screen. When those are in place, you're golden. Now over here, I have gone through. These are the order in which they came out of the engine, front to back. I'm going to be bagging and tagging these and zip tying them to the crankshaft to make sure that they all stay in the proper order. Why? Because everything wears slightly different always. I'm going to go through and do the exhaust, correction, the intake side. That is the exhaust side. This, by the way, is the tool kit. It has fuel pump removal tools. Haven't figured out what this one's for yet. Here's your lock tool. This is the ring that goes into the front of the somebody's dog's ears just perked up when I did that. Alright. This threads into there. When you thread that in, undo your screws that are on the back of your high pressure fuel pump, which is that right there, which are those screws right there. Do not do it until you have this threaded in and whichever one of these is the appropriate one, and make sure that center piece is fully retracted, which is done twisty turny that way. The retaining bracket is very easy to install and remove. And that's it. This goes right down to those screw holes right there. And it gets stored in the kit right there. So I've already started loosening the ends of these. I'm taking it very carefully. And each one, I'm going a quarter turn. Using the star pattern. I already loosened that one. Already loosened that one. Okay, so now all these have been lightly loosened, and we come back again, and as the springs are unloading, and I mean the valve springs, they certainly come up. So it may seem a little extra precautious to be going only a little bit with each turn, but as I'm going along and these are starting to come up, see, just saw a little bit of rotation right there. We want to make sure that we don't damage any of our valves. Because these are camshafts, and unless you like buying new camshafts, you probably don't want to buy new camshafts. But if you enjoy buying expensive hardware that she could have easily not damaged. And more power to you. Sure, this is looking a little repetitive at this point, but you can see that it's starting to unload pressure. You see a little bit of rotation in the camshaft there as these screws are coming up. Here we are in the middle. Should see a little bit there. And it looks like at this point we are, oh, not quite. We're approaching finger loose. Interestingly enough, getting in to take a look at these, and they're all labeled A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, A7, and that is on the exhaust side. And on the intake side, interestingly enough, E1, E2, E3, E4, A5, E6, E7. Personally, I would think that E would mean exhaust and A would mean air intake. But what do I know? I'm just an American. Either way, they are clearly identified as to what's what. So now, I guess I have to make sure they remember that the lock item, the words are escaping me at the moment. But the shape right here that helps you use the lock tool, that's our exhaust side. 'Twas on this side. Here's our exhaust ports. Side note. Overall, I'm really impressed with how these engines are put together. Or truly was until that little bastard came into play. Right down there. In order to get the faceplate off of the engine, to get access to the timing gears, you have to be some sort of freaking contortionist and get that stupid thing out. Because the chains and the valve guides are blocking it. So, yeah, that's fun. My next step, and I'm going to need both hands for this, so thus none of my crappy unstabilized phone work. I'm going to be removing the head bolts. As I do these, I'm going to be doing them very similar to how I took off the cams. I'm going to start at the ends, reverse star pattern, and work my way in. Just going to go in quarter turns, just until they get loose enough that they can be turned by hand, and then pull them out that way, and then we'll pick up from there. Oh, and lest I forget, the head bolts are an E14 size. Please, if you're an American, don't try and half-ass this stuff by trying to use our regular, quote, standard imperial, unquote, bastardized system of measurement. Just buy the right tools, please. You'll save money in the long run. All of the head bolts are now out. Or I hope anyway. And they had a lot more torque on them than I was expecting. I did have to use a cheater bar with that E14 socket, but I was definitely not going to go through and use my impact wrench. So while I believe I do not reuse these, I'm going to double check on that. I did keep them all in order, with the gap here at the front. That's also a note for me when I go to put things back together, just in case I happen to need it. So now I'm going to be going through and loosening up the head a little bit so I can pull it off of there, and then we'll see if there's any ugly surprises with the pistons. Side note, I did recently see that down here, that freeze plug, that can be pulled out and tapped to turn into another coolant area. And considering the duty cycles that this engine is going to go through, as you remember, it's going into a boat, I'm going to be adding that additional cooling capacity. I just have to figure out the exact process of how, but it'll get there. All right, so next stop is hopefully head removal without any incident. Well, what do you know? It actually came off okay. So one of my guide ports did stay in the bottom of the head, which is over there. I've not looked at the valves yet. Not pulled off the valve cover. Figure, hey, we can all go down this road of either fun or misery together. But I am looking at all the pistons, and despite what appears to be excessive oil burn in some of these, which is okay, I'm replacing the rings anyway, they look in pretty good shape. Not seeing anything beat up, not seeing anything cracked yet, so that is a hopeful sign. Alright, now to check out the head. First things first, the head gasket. Seems to be not showing in immediate areas of concern, but I need to give it a more thorough inspection. But one thing that is of interest is this right here. This is a 2-hole head gasket. These head gaskets have 3 different options: 1-hole, 2-hole, 3-hole. And the more holes right there, see those two, the more of those there are, the thicker the head gasket is to make up for the differences, in case you have to go through and get the heads lightly machined. Again, I'm forgetting words today, but it's slight cleanup on the heads and the block in order to get them to fit together nicely. But so far, I'm seeing some carbon buildup in some spots, but I'm not seeing anything wildly concerning. Yes, that is a glow plug. 3 of them did snap off and stay inside the head. I'm not seeing any immediate concerns of burn through or damage. I have a little bit of something going on right here. Further investigation required. But so far, I think we're doing okay. Now for anybody asks, no, or anybody's wondering, no, that's not rust. That's actually, my cheater bar was an old section of thick copper pipe, and I have a well which tends to get a little bit of manganese buildup on the inside of the pipes. And that just happened to come off on one of those. That's not actually rust. But this seems okay so far. Yes, some of the copper gaskets did not come out when I pulled the injectors. And I did get an injector pulling tool. It worked well. Sorry I didn't video it. Okay, so that's enough for today. I'm gonna go spend some time with the better half. And in the meantime, keeping everything covered. Okay, not necessarily the bolts there, but the cams underneath, because hey, that's important. I will put the high pressure fuel pump. I'm gonna throw that in a plastic bag too. Some plastic on top of the engine to prevent moisture intrusion, as well as high-tech cardboard. High-tech cardboard brought to you by trees. Trees, those things that grow. Thank you very much. And this is Rick Ram going through and saying good luck to you, and let's find out more about this. Bye.